just start with any updates on the guys that weren't out there and any update on Nick Hague.
The guys that played the other night are all maintenance days. Nick, nothing new to report. He won't be in the lineup tomorrow. We'll keep him as day-to-day for now. And we anticipate the other guys that were off today that played will be ready to go tomorrow.
You kind of touched on it after game 2, but the importance of not just coming out with a 2-0 lead, but coming with a 2-0 lead back at home, as far as keeping your structure in the way that you played in game 2, how important is that to kind of not let the emotion of the home crowd and everything of that sort kind of take over?
Well, you want to feed off some of that, right? It's just don't let it disrupt how you're going to play. You can use the emotion to bring a little more energy or battle level, but the puck management and the risk versus reward plays, like those can't change at home just because you're in front of the crowd and you want to sort of make prettier plays, right? If they're there, you make them. If not, and I think that'll be the toughest challenge early on. I think that's what typically happens to home teams. Feeling a little better at home, and so you're going to want to make plays and just make the ones that are necessary and the ones that are available, and try to make something good happen for your team early. That's what Dallas will look at. They can go in there and, like we did in game 1, right? Get an early goal, have something good, build off a positive. So we got to be mindful of that we're on our toes early, not just assume because we're home we're going to be the better team. I mean, that doesn't work that way.
Matching their intensity, obviously down 0-2. Matching their intensity with them being down 0-2 is not easy, but do you draw from last year and the fact that they got those 2 games and kind of got back into the series to keep the guys on their toes, I guess?
Every kind of game and series takes on, I think, a life of its own. So we're going to use whatever we need to from last year. We're not going to talk about it a lot. We're going to talk about our game. And last year we did go from 2-0 to 3-0, right? So obviously we handled that well. We went into Dallas and won. So now we're coming home to win. That's our goal. And it's that simple. To me, it's that simple. We're one game at a time. We want to be better than we were the previous game, all right? The things we did well, we talked about them this morning. We're going to talk tomorrow morning about things we can do better and improve on, and actually built a few of them into practice today. So I guess it was a little bit of a mix now that I think about it. So that's where we want to go, plain and simple.
How similar do you feel like the game plan is this year compared to last year? I know the teams are a little bit different. Are you doing a lot of different things this series?
I'll tell you what's a little different going in, and that is their rush game. I thought was better, more productive for them this year. I believe that to be true. Last year seems was a lot about deflections and tips and rebounds. I think this year they're a little built to attack off the rush. You see guys like Johnson, Stanko, he's young, but Johnson's a year older. Duchesne is more of a rush player. Harley is full-time player for them last year. I think he was on their third pair if he was even in. I'm not sure if it was Colin Miller or Hanley. And anyway, he wasn't as dominant in how he plays as he was last year. So you got more of that coming at you, I think. So the game plan was to eliminate that rush game because that's what their regular season showed. But then you go in and you don't know if it'll turn into that net front battle and slot wars and all that stuff. So I think it's been as advertised for the rush game. I think when they've gotten out of their zone and we haven't been over their middle option, they've been dangerous and got some of their better chances with 55 jumping into the play. We also exposed him the other night. He was up in the play. We got behind him. So there's give and take in that, and that's what we try to talk about, how to minimize their strengths and attack any liabilities. There's usually not that many liabilities this time of the year, so it's a little bit about, races and battles when it comes down to that. Just outwill them in the important times of the game and important areas. So
shooting less from the outside.
Yesterday, I know the other game, I think there was more going off the end boards to try to get it all the way below the goal line. So I don't know if they're shooting less, to be honest with you. You mean than last year or than that? I don't know, to be honest with you. Maybe if we eliminate their rush game and create transition going back the other way, that'll allow them less time in our end. So they would be shooting less because of that when we do a good job between the blue lines.
When 3-0 lead, they win, all of a sudden they have life. Do you look at it as simple as that, or you boil it down as It's just one game.
That's one game. It's one game. You can be down 2-1, up 3-0, and then game 4 could change the series. So I think if you start thinking too far ahead, Gary, honestly, you get yourself in trouble. We did what we had to do or wanted to do was build our game and win, and we did. So that's the positive for us. I mean, was there a dominant team in either one of those games? I don't think so. I think we made some plays when we needed to in the important times, timely goals, timely saves. Had a bit of an edge there, and that could easily flip. So that's it. We got to get better because the timely goals may go their way or saves. They may get a bounce. So we just got to keep getting better.
Just on that, the first 2 games last year went to overtime. The first 2 games this year, you just said there was no real dominant team. Pete has spoken to how close it's been as well. Why do you guys come out on the good side?
Well, I think we have players that rise up in those situations. We saw it last year with a number of through 4 different series. I thought we got progressively better. Sometimes maybe we make an adjustment that works. Maybe we get the extra save, confidence in the group. There's probably a lot of different reasons, to be honest with you. And again, when they're this close, it could just as easily start swinging the other way. So I'm sure that's what they're talking about. But I think our guys, like I said, they know when it's, we talk about third periods, you got to play winning hockey, right? I mean, you got to the whole game, but winning hockey in the third. That's when you can't be real careful when leads get away from you in the playoffs. It gives the other team a lot of confidence and it demoralizes your group. So we've been good at that. I felt last year we were good at that, exception of up in Winnipeg, we let a game get away. We end up winning in double overtime, so our guys bounce back. So there's resiliency in it as well. But I think that's important. You play winning hockey at the right time. And our guys, I think, are. And I said it the other day, maturity of the group is ahead of last year because they won. I think they understand what's at stake. It's not about, padding your totals, whatnot. It's about playing the right way. And if opportunities come to increase your lead, you take advantage. And you look at the Colasar, chance in front of the net, just another great forecheck. We could have extended our lead there. We had a couple of rush chances. So they were there. It's not like we're sitting back. But at the same time, it wasn't like, okay, we're going to take a chance here to extend the lead and we're going to give one up at the other end. That's not our mindset. And I think that's a positive with our group.
The high-level defense you're playing now, do you feel like that maybe started maybe a month ago that you started getting the kind of defense you wanted?
We certainly tried to sort of reinstill that mentality. We were in and out this year. I mean, people that watch us know that. We weren't at our best for large stretches of time for different reasons. I don't want to get into them all, but we certainly readdressed that has to be a calling card for our hockey club if we want to be successful. Clear understanding of how we have to play is how we talk about it, and I think our guys buy into that. They saw it work last year, and we scored lots of goals. So it's not like we can't create from good defense. That's usually where it starts anyway. So yes, we tried to bring that every day with our video and our pre-scouts about defending well, reloading, all the little stick details that go in, playing through hands, all the things you got to do to get pucks back and keep them from going your way.
I know you talked about before the series that even if you're going on the road, you're not chasing matchups with them having last change and whatnot. But now that it does shift to home, do you kind of expect a little bit more of a more direct game, I guess, from maybe the middle six, especially Will's line, kind of see what they can do as more of a checking up north and south game?
We'll use certain people against them if we feel there's a line there's a mismatch. I don't think there's been a large discrepancy either way. I don't look and say, oh boy, they're this particular line. I mean, they started switching a few people around the other day, probably because they were looking for offense from, different people and trying different chemistry. That happens, when you haven't generated a lot. We might change some of our lines up too because we feel there's offense to be had too. Now, part of the thing we have to keep in mind is Mark Stone's played 2 games in whatever it is, 2.5 months, and same with Hurdle's not that many either, with nobody on the team here either, just for whatever it was, 4 or 5 games. So we're gonna have to be a little bit patient with, that part of the game coming around. But how that'll affect our matchups tomorrow, that'll be I'm not going home tonight saying it's gonna be this against this, right? Let's see what they're bringing. I understand they have a few injuries that might change their lines. And let's just play. Let's get our lines going, playing the way we want to, and having a bit of that road mentality, that, hey, you're just outplay the guy across from you. Now, obviously, as I said, if there's a matchup that we feel is going well for them, we'll get away from it and try something else.